Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Our next agenda is the presentation and panel session on government policies and guidelines on asset and facilities management. The moderator for this session is Yang Berbahagia, Datuk Sri Zohari bin Haji Akob, President, Malaysian Association of Facility Management, MAFM. Datuk Sri Zohari bin Haji Akob hails from Kuala Lipis. He received his early education in Kuala Lipis, Pahang, and pursued his tertiary education at University Pertanian Malaysia and University of Leicester, United Kingdom. Datuk Sri Zohari holds a master's degree in economics and has over 30 years of work experience as a government officer. His last position was the Secretary General of the Ministry of Works Malaysia. After retirement, and he continues to contribute to the industry by joining the corporate sector, dealing with construction and services. His vast experience is expected to assist the MAPMA Gold group of companies achieve its business goals and aspirations. Without further ado, please welcome Yang Berbahagia Datuk Sri Zohari bin Haji Akob.
Thank you, Dr. Dina, for your kind words of introductions. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to all of you. As you all know, this session will be conducted in two parts. First, we kickstart with a panel speakers, and then immediately follows by a discussion by three panelists. The three panelists will have their comments or add on their opinions to the topic presented by the panel speakers. As panel speakers and all panelists will stay on for the whole duration of this session for question and Q&A session. All attendees, participants are invited to submit questions anytime during this session via the chat box. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome on board our panel speakers, Yang Bahagia Dato Dr. Haji Zulkefly bin Sulaiman. Before I invite him to deliver his presentation, let me read his CV. Dato Engineer Haji Mohammad Zulkefly bin Sulaiman is the incumbent Director General of Public Works Department of Malaysia, PWD, since 23 July 2020. He is a bachelor graduate of University of Malaya in Civil Engineering and holds a master's degree in Assets and Facility Management from University Technology Malaysia. In the last 35 years, he has served the PWD and the Economic Planning Unit, Prime Minister's Department, in the various offices and positions. Dato Engineer Haji Mohammad Zulkefly has a diverse and extensive experience in strategic and operational level, ranging from the field of project management, design, asset management, technical advisory services, public management, and value management. He is currently the President of Board of Engineers Malaysia, or BEM, and the Malaysian Asset and Project Management Association, MAPMA. Without further ado,
thank you, Dato Sri Moderator. Yang Berhad Dato Sri Haji Fadilah bin Haji Yusof, Senior Minister of Works. Yang Bahagia Tan Sri Datuk Sri Mohamad Zuki bin Ali, Chief Secretary to the Government of Malaysia. Yang Bahagia Datuk Sri Haji Zohari bin Haji Akob, President, Malaysia Association of Facility Management or MAFM, who also a moderator for this session 1 presentation. All panelists, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. Firstly, let me express my highest gratitude to the organizers for giving me this opportunity to deliver a presentation among so many distinguished guests in conjunction with the Asset and Facility Management Conference, or AFMC 2021. I am very confident this conference will benefit all participants as we discuss and share ideas on strategies and future directions on asset and facilities management towards a post-pandemic world. As the world moves progressively to normalcy and the economy gradually reopening, the pandemic served as a reminder for all of us on the importance of resilience and the ability to adapt and react to crisis in a timely way. Indeed, COVID-19 has fundamentally changed the way we work, learn, and operate. All of us have experienced varying degrees of impacts arising from the outbreak. What matters most now is how we embrace the new realities and collectively advance beyond the pandemic and rising to the occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, it is well acknowledged that the construction industry is a major driver for economic development and growth of our country. This is largely contributed by the industry's multiplier effect, which creates sustained benefits for the supply chain and generates spillovers to other sectors, including logistics, manufacturing, and services. Statistically, the slight drop in the industry national GDP from 4.7% in 2019 to 4% in 2020 was mainly due to the impact of COVID-19 containment measures, which affected construction works and other related activities. Remarkably, in the second quarter of 2021, the growth rate of the construction sector has soared up to 40.2%, primarily driven by recoveries in our economic conditions. Under Royal Plan Number 1 of the 12th Malaysian Plan, over 69 billion ringgit has been allocated for development expenditures on approximately 6,300 projects across the nation, including the development of affordable houses, schools, hospitals, and roads. This further reinforces the strong commitment of the government in ensuring sustainable development and prosperity of our country, underpinned through a thriving construction industry. As such, the outlook for the industry is projected to remain resilient and favorable in the foreseeable future. The government also strives to ensure the socio-economic well-being of the country is safeguarded, and this commitment is manifested in the Shared Prosperity Vision, or SPV 2030, or Wasiat Kemajuan Bersama 2030, which outlines a 10-year strategic blueprint to help Malaysia achieve sustainable development and growth. The implementation of the 12th Malaysian Plan is expected to drive economic growth, inclusiveness, and sustainability towards accomplishing the goals set by the SPV 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia places strong emphasis on infrastructure development as part of the national effort to remain globally competitive, where every infrastructure project undertaken has a specific purpose and target group. Thus, in ensuring infrastructures are built and remain functional during its projected operational lifespan, a proper asset management strategy needs to be established. In line with these desires, the first National Asset and Facility Management or MAFM Convention was held in August 2007 in Kuala Lumpur, which witnessed the establishment of the Government Asset Management Committee, or JPA. The Strategic Committee, headed by the Chief Secretary to the Government of Malaysia and consisting several high-ranking public sector officials, are mandated to establish policies, strategies, action plans, and create national standards and guidelines to ensure that the government's assets are managed efficiently, economically, and safely. As the technical arm of the government, the Public Works Department is entrusted as the Secretariat for the Government Asset Management Committee in establishing good practices and formulating policies in total asset management, that inculcates a new regime of maintenance culture, including facility management in the public service. Through the total asset management approach, asset governance is better streamlined, whereby each Ministry Secretary General is fully responsible in ensuring that every asset developed based on the needs of respective ministries are well managed, beginning from the planning stage to the disposal of the asset. Ladies and gentlemen, soon after MAFM 2007, the Government Asset Management Policy, or DPA, and Total Asset Management Manual, or MPAM, was drafted, where the two documents was later launched during the second MAFM in 2009. A decade later, both the policies and manuals were thoroughly reviewed to reflect current changes in the industry, and the amendments were subsequently approved by JPAC this year with some major improvements, such as improving the asset definitions and enhancing strategic planning in terms of governance, risk management, monitoring the quality of asset management through uniform KPIs, and the use of smart technology. In addition to the aforementioned documents, Immovable Asset Management Procedure, or TIPATA, a widely used document for day-to-day management of government assets, were also scrutinized with notable amendments as follows. Further strengthening the governance of government immovable asset management and increasing the number of the government asset management committee members, ahli jawatan persiapan aset kerajaan, to include more relevant agencies, and also improving work processes, especially in reporting immovable asset management at all levels of the government. Objectively, these strategic documents serve to provide complete asset information for planning and control, effective operation and maintenance, budgeting, and performance rating measurements. To strengthen best practices in asset management, the key performance indicator, or KPI approach, was introduced through the Immovable Asset Management Strategic Plan Strategi Perusahaan Inisiatif Alih, or PSPATA 2021-2030. It should be stressed that this document is identified as a pertinent element in evaluating the achievements of best practices in total asset management and are in line with the requirements of the implementation of accrual accounting by the government. Ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 has brought about many challenges and grave impacts in our effort to manage government assets. Undeniably, these challenges that I will share in a short while are the results of disruption experienced by the workforce due to ripple effect of many regulations and standard operating procedures, or SOPs, implemented to curb the spread of the pandemic. As we are all aware, timeliness and strict due dates are imperative in any project implementation. It is widely reported that during the pandemic, construction projects, repair, renovation, and upgrading works struggle to meet deadlines as a consequence of disrupted progress of work at sites due to the SOPs laid out. Consequently, the number of projects being granted extension of time, or EOT, has increased exponentially as operation continues to struggle in adhering to strict SOPs. In short, the direct impact of the pandemic ranges from strict compliance to SOPs, disruption at work site, and EOT, which collectively affects the expenditures of projects. Ladies and gentlemen, despite the challenges faced during the pandemic, JKR is fully committed in ensuring that projects undertaken by the department is delivered on time, within budget, and to the expectations of our stakeholders. JKR has proactively adopted various strategic initiatives and tools pertaining to the total asset life cycle management. For instance, The government has recently embarked on value entry VAE initiative in emphasizing on the concept of do it right at the first time and comprises three strategic tools, namely acquisition, categorization, or ICAC, value management at strategic phase, VMS, and gerbang nilai kosong. The main objective of VAE initiative are to establish project viability as well as project readiness in terms of scopes, site, cost, and project implementation strategies prior to project submission by the client. This initiative is in line with the approach at planning phase of the whole life cycle of asset management before the government commits on its investments. By incorporating pre-approved plan through building information modeling or BIM tools in our workflow, the initiative is expected to deliver operational efficiencies and further drive maximum value-added outputs for our stakeholders. Building information modeling provides tangible benefits in every phase, from design to asset usage to greater interdisciplinary collaboration amongst project and maintenance team members, while eliminating many of the inefficiencies and problems that may arise throughout an asset lifecycle. Ladies and gentlemen, managing a space efficiently is part of the facilities management scope. The use of government office space needs to be better optimized to avoid any unnecessary wastage. The implementation of space audit is one of the elements in the implementation of building performance assessment or BPA, which is used as a KPI in JKR Strategic Plan 2021-2025. In line with the VA concept, JKR sees the possibility of conducting an asset condition assessment as a basis for identifying the scope of work for project maintenance, repairs, renovations, and upgrades. Valuation and inspection of immovable assets needs to be carried out to ensure that the allocations targeted are wisely distributed to all government agencies based on their priorities. To add up, the Building Condition Assessment or BCA assists in preparing the justification of allocation requirements for operations and maintenance of assets based on the actual condition of the premises of building assets owned by government agencies. Ladies and gentlemen, JKR has embarked on short-term and long-term planning as the way forward for asset and facility management in addressing the COVID-19 pandemic challenges. An innovative system known as the JTAM, which was launched by Yang Mohamad, Dato Haji Senior Minister of Works, Malaysia, comprises of 10 phases of the total asset management of the project management life cycle and government asset facilities management cycle. It was implemented with the aim of transforming the department's business process by leveraging on digital technologies in establishing a single point collaboration platform for project management and facilities management. JTAN serves as an integrated tool to enhance the management, monitoring, and performance reporting capabilities of projects handled by JKR locally and abroad. It is envisaged to revolutionize JKR's conventional working methods through the digitalization of the existing JKR ISO 9001 standard, which will integrate the various systems from related agencies and establish an effective up-to-date information sharing ecosystem. On 17 September 2021, JKR Malaysia signed a Memorandum of Understanding MOU with JKR Sabah to collaboratively integrate project administration, leveraging and management system or PALMS and control and reporting system SCALA as an effort to further facilitate the process of monitoring and implementation of federal projects in the state. This initiative will ensure accurate and up-to-date information of federal and state projects are made available through an online monitoring system. It is paramount that in this era of era 4.0, technology and online communication are optimally leveraged in an attempt for faster and more efficient reporting, communication, and monitoring. With this smart partnership, data can be shared instantly, where stakeholders will be able to obtain information on physical progress and project reports on the fly, as well as substantially saving costs while embracing digitalization. Meanwhile, in ensuring the continuity of the government procurement process, JKR took the initiative to develop an in-house online tendering system. Albeit to some minor changes pertaining to the readiness of the industry, the department is positively confident that the end-to-end online tendering system will help increase public space delivery efficiency. During the construction phase, JKR Malaysia embarked on another new technology-centric initiative to collaborate with industry players on utilizing artificial intelligence and machine learning for construction projects known as the new generation eye supervision. This innovative technology will analyze images gathered from CCTV cameras and drones at construction site to generate useful information on construction resources management, progress analysis, and prediction. This further allows for more accurate and comprehensive project monitoring and control, and at the same time, providing useful information on safety and environmental aspects of project management. Apart from the mentioned digital initiative, the government also proposed and embarked some other initiatives, such as proposal to the National Security Council to expand the implementation of the vaccination program for workers at construction site, which is aimed at reducing the rate of COVID-19 infection and transmission among workers at construction sites. Streamlining all inclusive project-based application and approval processes for the permission to operate during lockdown. This helps to ensure all the respective parties in entire supply chain, contractors, consultants, suppliers, etc., can operate simultaneously without any disruption. Initiative on variation of price, or VOP, was introduced to cater to the increase in the cost of building materials. Approval of the implementation of the VOP will allow price adjustment to be made to the price of major building materials in line with the impact of the current fluctuation in building material prices. Ladies and gentlemen, in assets and facilities domain, data is undoubtedly invaluable. It is collected on a daily basis. Its amount may reach certain value that may become overwhelming to the maintenance staff if it were to be done manually. As of October 2021, 62 facility management and maintenance and 35 custody contracts have been managed by JKR Facility Superintendent Officer or FSO officers throughout Malaysia, whereby the majority of these contracts are concentrated in the Federal Territory of Putrajaya. Combined FMM and custody contract amounted to approximately 3.19 billion ringgit, with 5 more contracts to be issued and assessed before the end of 2021. This contract imposed a challenge for our FSO team, where 23,000 total order per day, besides complaints from users on a daily basis, needs to be monitored. Needless to say, these tasks definitely require technological support for it to be sustainable. Acknowledging this problem, the department collaborated with Computerized Maintenance Management System, or CMMS, service providers to develop a tailor-made system that meets the needs of the government, known as Centralized Facilities Management System or System Facility Berpusat, ESPFB. The system is used by the government facilities management contracts all over Malaysia and facilitates the department to monitor and manage the performance of the contractors on a regular basis. This real-time data used by the system increases the efficiency of services and helps to improve many issues concerning complaints and grievances faced by users. Regular maintenance of the assets is done to ensure that the asset is always in good condition. Nevertheless, periodic assessment on the physical condition of the assets ought to be conducted regularly. This asset condition assessment activity is not something that is easy to implement and consume a hefty amount of time because of the details involved. Another game changer initiative introduced by the department is in the identification of the physical status of an asset using a mobile phone application known as Building Condition Assessment Rating System, or BCAS. This technology is being used to measure the level of physical condition of existing building and for continuous scalable inspections, evaluations, measurement, and transmission of data, which will help determine the action necessary in managing the assets in terms of maintenance, innovation, upgrading, and disposal. Ladies and gentlemen, JKR building projects costing above 10 million ringgit are now subjected to the Industrialized Building System, or IBS. Moving towards fully factory-made building components during construction, JKR's workforce must be competent in IBS project execution to meet the needs and expectations of each client. JKR has established a competency framework which strategizes to build up and strengthen multidisciplinary skills and knowledge of its employees. The aspiration of this strategic framework is to become a center of excellence for our nation's public infrastructure development. With reference to that, please allow me to mention several initiatives taken to empower skills and knowledge related to IBS. The implementation of training programs for specific technical competencies which nurtures the talent pools of experts in JKR. Through its Center of Excellence in Engineering and Technologies, operate technical courses ranging from basic to advanced level of JKR employees to improve their knowledge and competency in the field of IBS are regularly conducted. Intensifying the participation of officers in certification and professional programs which allow them to achieve prescribed skill and competencies that renders them as JKR subject matter experts. Initiative taken to continuously improve the effectiveness of training program offered to JKR employees. Lastly, the challenges that come with the pandemic demands all of us to leap out from our comfort zone and respond appropriately to survive the crisis. The COVID-19 pandemic presents us a perfect opportunity to accelerate the transformation process through new policies and initiatives that will contribute towards the development of sustained economic growth by harnessing integrated and comprehensive total asset management philosophy. As such, I'm confident this conference will yield new ideas to create more sustainable environment for all of us to live in. Thank you.
Thank you, Yang Bagi Dr. Zulkefly, for sharing with us the latest policies and guidelines and the way forward for asset and facility management in Malaysia. And Dato, please stay on board for Q&A session.
Sure, Dato' Sri.
All right, thank you, Dato. In order for us to get a deeper insight on the AFN policies, let me invite our first panelist to give his view on the topic presented by Yang Berhad Dr. Zulkefly. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Yang Berhad Dato' Wan Ahmad Uzir bin Haji Wan Sulaiman. Dato' Wan Ahmad Uzir was born in Kedah, first joining public services in 1997, and recently been posted to Ministry of Work or MOW as a Deputy Secretary General for Policy and Development. Prior to his current posting, Dato' Wan Ahmad Uzir has several posts at State of Panelist and Sarawak, as well at the federal level. In August 2014, he was promoted as Under-Secretary at the Ministry of Agriculture and Agro-Based Industries, or then called MOA, the Director of State Development at the Sarawak State Development Office in 2018, and as a Deputy Director General of Road Transport, Ministry of Transport in 2019. In recognizing his excellent services, he has received many medals and awards, among others, Darjah Bintang Kenyalang Sarawak in 2012, Anugerah Darjah Mahkota Pahang 2016, and Panglima Mahkota Wilayah 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, for the next 8 to 10 minutes, let us hear what Dato' Wan Uzir wants to say on the topic of discussion today. Dato', the board is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dato' Zohari, as the moderator for this session. Berbahagia Dato' Zulkefly, KP, Director General of Works, and all the member panelists. Firstly, I strongly agree with what was presented by Berhad Dato' Zulkefly regarding the government approach in ensuring that the construction industry is regulated in terms of its operation during the post-pandemic. In line with the statement of Yang Mohamad, Minister of Works, that 6,340 sites willing to 98% comply with SOPs to ensure that the safety and security of construction site in Malaysia, and also the negative implication on the national economy if no containment measures are implemented for construction industry, as stated by Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Sri KSN. Asset and facilities management was developed as an approach, especially in the public infrastructure sector, which promised to achieve more value with fewer resources. The key for an objective asset management is a preparation of high quality assets, management policy and strategy, which is supported by asset management plan. The process may focus on things that value for money and give support to council in engaging with communicate in order to keep a balance between service level, risk and cost. The government has given serious emphasis on asset management because of huge investment that have been made towards the development and provision of assets. A systematic, comprehensive and integrated asset management system must be established in line with the policy of continuous improvement of delivering system in public sector service. When we're talking about facilities management, the facilities management is an industry has emerged as one of the fastest growing over the years. In fact, facilities management is the multidisciplinary kind of works that covers a wide range of various activities, responsibilities, and knowledge. What is more interesting, every aspect of an organization seems to be drawn into facilities management. If the building is said to be one of the important things in real estate, facilities management is a part of the management of the buildings that needs to be emphasized by the management team. One of the facilities management objectives is to reduce maintenance costs while maintaining quality or the quality of facilities provided. Management of facilities also required to increase the provision of facilities management to ensure the building is clean, safe, in a healthy environment. One of the example of facilities management practice in Malaysia, we can see, is in the office building. Normally, we'll have their own management team to monitor the condition of the buildings. The management team usually lead by maintenance or the building managers. Maintenance, cleaning, landscaping, lighting, heating, ventilating, and others, sanitary and plumbing, and then among the service provided by the building managers. Based on the government asset policy or the government asset management procedure, tipata-pata as said by the Yang Berhad Dato Engineer Zulkefly, public sector employees are responsible to ensure that the assets and facilities are well always in perfect condition, safe to use, economical use, and longer use life. The efficiency of asset and facilities management will impose financial burden, affecting the government's reputation, affecting the quality and efficiency of the service, safety and certification of the customer. However, public organizations in Malaysia at every level, whether the federal, state and local government level, continue to be criticized for the lack of the good governance. As mentioned by Yang Berbahagia Datuk Director General, Datuk Engineer Zulkefly, on the latest government asset management policy, the Ministry of Works strongly supports amendment to the government asset management policy document, which incorporates risk management element in managing government-owned assets. Covers the entire asset life cycle, starting from planning phase, the creation phase involving project management, the operation and maintenance phase involving the maintenance management and facilities management, as well as the disposal phase. It shows that if it's a strong evidence that effective is integration of facilities management, which needed at the early design development stage of the building construction project. All these phases need to be managed with risk management in mind. This will provide direction and ensuring government assets are well managed in the event of any disasters such as flood, landslide, and the latest COVID-19 pandemic. The government asset management policy document also meets the need of the Ministries of Work through the implementation of National Policy NCP 2030, where one of the pillars is to strengthen the facilities management industry in Malaysia. Facilities management is a new direction in ensuring that existing government-owned assets are managed effectively and sustainably. Facilities management includes providing guidance and managing operation and maintenance of building, infrastructure, and others on behalf of the owner. The key to effective facilities management measure is term of providing best value. Facilities management may be include an early stage during the planning and design stage, so the design failure can be avoided. The space planning also can be made better in order to avoid problems in the future. Thus, the upgrading or renovation costs as well as maintenance costs can be expected earlier. The initiative also commitments by the Ministry of Works through Public Works Department and CIDB in developing project monitoring software, building condition assessment, delivered on time with budget and to the expectation, and others application to determine the physical condition of asset, and the use of building efficient modeling BIM to improve service delivery, also in line with the 12 Malaysia Plan requirement and current needs to the construction industry. That's all. Thank you very much, Doctor. Yang Berbahagia Datuk Sri.
Thank you, Dr. Wan, Uzir. So far, I think we have heard from the two speakers, which focuses mostly from the perspective of those whom formulate the policy and guideline. Now, let us look from the different angle, from perspective of the people or organizations that carry out those policies and guidelines. In that note, please allow me to introduce our second panelist, Engineer Tauran Haji Zaidi. Okay, before I invite Engineer Tauran Zaidi bin Ahmad Zaidi to deliver his thought on this issue, let me read his CV. Engineer Tauran Zaidi bin Ahmad Zaidi obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering in 1985 from University of Iowa, USA, and a Masters of Science in Building Service Engineering from UK. He started working with the government in 1985 as a Mechanical Engineering and Ministry of Health, Pharmaceutical Laboratories and Store, Petaling Jaya, Selangor. Currently, he is the Director of Engineering Service Division, Ministry of Health, Malaysia, MOH, and have more than 35 years of experience in the field of healthcare engineering services. He is also a president for the International Healthcare Facility Management for Certified Healthcare Facility Managers, or in short, CHFM, Competency Development with the Institute with International Islamic Universities Malaysia at University Malaysia Sarawak. He is actively involved in the development of various Malaysian standards and guidelines. In addition, he is also the executive member of Facility Management Malaysia Committee, CIDB. He also presented various papers at the both international and national level, including the paper entitled Privatization in Hospital Support Services, Ministry of Health Malaysia, at the International Federation of Hospital Engineers Conference in Norway, and the paper Certified Healthcare Facility Managers at the IFHG Congress in Brisbane, Australia in 2018. Without further ado, the floor is yours, Engineer Tauran.
Thank you very much, Dato Sri Zohari and Haji Akob. All my honored guests, Yang Mohamad, Senior Minister of Works, Datuk Sri Haji Fadilah, Yang berbahagia also Tan Sri Datuk Sri Chief Secretary General of the government, and also yang berbahagia Datuk Engineer Haji Mohamad Zulkefly and all the panels this morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to all our honored guests. So I just want to give a brief view on aspect of from the Ministry of Health Malaysia, and also more on the implementation of asset and facility management in the Ministry of Health and also in the health sector. So one of the big initiatives that has been implemented in the Ministry of Health is the privatization of the hospital support services since 1997. So this is way it's a game changer. It's a major game changer in facility management in the Ministry of Health. So it covers 148 hospitals, and now it covers 6 services, namely the facility management itself, the facility engineering, maintenance, biomedical engineering, linen cleansing services, and also the healthcare waste in the Ministry of Health. And also the outsourcing of the facility management is expanded to the clinics. So now we have the clinic support services as well. We cover all the major clinics in Malaysia, 225 clinics. But these are short-term contracts, 3 to 5 years contracts, compared to the privatization contract, which was previously 15 years. Now it's a 10-year contract until 2025. And also the another privatization on the biomedical equipments for all the 9 states in Malaysia clinics. So that it will be extended to all the other 5 states in Malaysia. So 13-year contract. Yeah. So basically, in the Ministry of Health, outsourcing is the way to go. Yeah, and because the issue of manpower, equipments, competencies, and so on that we face in the industry, so we have to work together with the industry and private sector to optimize their skills, competency, yeah, that they have in the industry. So together we can also do the facility management in the health sector. Yeah. So another recent development is to improve the competency in facility management in the health sector. Yeah. So this is one of a major initiative which together with Ministry of Works and also CIDB. So we developed this competency in certified healthcare facility manager, where all the facility manager in the hospital, both in the private sector and also the government sector. So we have to train our engineers and professionals to have this certified healthcare facility manager. So that we have consistency in competency, common understanding, yeah, which is based on the international facility manager practice, yeah, but it's localized to our health sector requirement in Malaysia. And this collaboration, working together with CIDB, TKR, Public Works Department, the International Islamic University, and also UNIMAS, yeah, to cover Sabah and Sarawak. Yeah. So complying also to Act 520 of CIDB. Yeah. So up to now, it's more than 300 competent certified healthcare facility manager in the health sector. Yeah. So there are more to be trained. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then I want also to share experience on the COVID-19 issue. Yeah. So this is a pandemic happened more than this type of pandemic happened more than 100 years ago with the Spanish flu, and we were caught by surprise actually at the end of 2019, and we didn't really expect it become a world pandemic. Yeah? So it's the biggest challenge faced in Malaysia and also the world, especially for the health sector. Yeah? However, with the collaboration with all the agencies in Malaysia, both internally and also international collaboration, especially with Majlis Keselamatan Negara, MAPMA, yeah, with also with the Ministry of Works, yeah, and Department of Works, Malaysia, with all the state government, yeah, and even the industry, the private sector, and so on, under Act Emergency Act 342, yeah, Akta Pencegahan dan Pengawalan Penyakit Berjangkit 1988, which enable that we have to work together to face this pandemic, and it is a very challenging situation. And up to now, we are still in the pandemic situation. Hopefully, we move to the endemic phase soon. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that COVID-19 is over. So most likely we have to live with COVID-19 but with all the SOPs in place, so things are safer than it first started. Yeah. So in the Ministry of Health, in engineering division itself, we have to form 14 task force groups. Yeah, established, and all these task force collaborate with all the other agencies. So, namely, a few of the task force we have to form is because we have to come up with emergency facilities. So to build special field hybrid ICU throughout the country. Yeah, up to date, 14 field ICUs has been constructed, each having 10 beds. Yeah, with negative pressure. And then our collaboration also to increase the capacity of the healthcare facility, the temporary facility. We have to work with other agencies, the hospital, universities, yeah, with the army, yeah, and the army also assists the Ministry of Health to set up the field hospitals throughout the country, yeah. The private hospital also come into to assist to expand the capacity of our ICUs and also the beds, you know, through outsourcing, yeah. And also we have to increase the capacity of essential services, especially the medical gas, the oxygen, yeah, because these are necessity for COVID-19 for the patient. Some of the patient, especially the category 3, 4, and 5, yeah, they need medical oxygen. Yeah, so we have to increase the capacity throughout the country, increase the VI tanks, the bulk tanks, and oxygen cylinders. Yeah, use and ventilators. Yeah, ventilators also. We have to double the number of ventilators throughout the country, yeah, and also ambulance services. And some of the services we also outsource. Yeah, we purchase the service from the private sector, yeah, like the ambulance services, yeah, and also the clinical waste management services, yeah. Increased to about 300%. Yeah, even though we have contingencies for the normal operation of clinical waste, but during pandemics the contingencies is not enough. Yeah, increased by 300%. So we have all the mechanisms and the support from the other industry to help us to deal with all this situation. The cleaning services and sanitation of healthcare sector, yeah. The linen services also tremendously increased with the increase of patients throughout the country, yeah. And to set up temporary quarantine centers, hundreds of quarantine centers and COVID centers, yeah, to treat patients is also in place, you know. And some of the emergency facilities were set up within the same day. The instruction come on the same day, has to come and operational in the same day in certain situations, yeah, throughout the country. And all the technical advice and development of standard operating procedures, you know, required during the pandemics has to be done, and with the collaboration of all the industry, this is possible. Yeah, and there are even like mobile generators in place. So this is collaboration with the Department of Environment, yeah, Jabatan Alam Sekitar, yeah, to help us to deal with the backlogs. Yeah. So, and then the guidelines especially. So the development of guidelines is very important because the COVID-19, it changed to the new variants, and when we face the latest variants of Delta variants, COVID-19 initially is more like droplets transmissions, droplet transmission. So if the patient sneeze or cough, the droplets can go to as far as 13 feet. But lately, with the Delta variant, it become temporary airborne in aerosols. And aerosols can stay in the air for hours, for a number of hours, and it can spread to the other people who are in the same place. So the ventilation become critical. So the normal requirement for ventilation change. So we have to improve the ventilation, and together with the Department of Safety and Health under the Ministry of Human Resource, to develop 4 guidelines. 4 guidelines. One is for residential setting, and non-residential setting like the office space and so on. For the health sector, for the health sector facilities, and also for the public area. So these 4 guidelines hopefully can assist for all these requirement at home and also in the office or in the factory, to reduce the risk of infection of COVID-19. So this is a very important preventive measure. Preventive measure, because if the preventive measure on this control of ventilation is effective, then the number of patients will be controlled and reduced. So this is we need to have support from all in the industry based on these guidelines to improve the ventilation situation, so that the spread of COVID-19 is under control. And on top of that, there is more detailed guidelines for the health sector, and also we also have available international guideline from the World Health Organization, as well as ASRI, and also from Chartered Institution of Building Services Engineering from the United Kingdom. And also in the coming initiative, we will also try to assist for the school setting in the Ministry of Education, because the schools are opening up, and there will be millions of students from the primary schools and also secondary schools is coming to the back to school. So hopefully the ventilation that they have is good enough, to control the COVID-19 infection in the school setting. So I believe there are rules from the industry and also the Ministry of Works, especially in the school setting, on the ventilation. Now, on the way forward, the way forward of facility management and asset management in the Ministry of Health, I totally agree with the DG of Works about the building condition assessment initiative. So this will be very helpful, especially for the Ministry of Health, for us to address one of our main issues is aging assets, aging building and aging assets. We have now 47 hospitals that age more than 50 years. So we are working with the Public Works Department and also to select some of the consultant in the BCA to assist us to do condition assessment for our buildings, yeah, and also to do measure drawings, yeah. So that we require to refurbish our hospitals and also to comply with the fire safety certification under BOMBA, yeah, especially for the old buildings that don't have the SB drawings that we require, yeah. And we also need to address the new requirement, yeah, for healthcare facility design to face issues like pandemic COVID-19, where we found that the wards that we have, the isolation room is not sufficient old, because in most cases we have to convert the whole hospital to become an infectious hospital, negative pressure type of hospital. So the 2 or 3 isolation room is not sufficient. So we have to convert the wards to become infectious wards. Yeah? So the new design requirement in the future has to address the issue, space for screening of patients, where in the clinics we have to set up temporary tanks, which is not comfortable for the patients at all. Yeah. So have to address this in the future designs, and also the waiting areas that required, that also require social distancing in between the patients. Yeah. And look into the 4IR approach, yeah, in industrial revolution, and also the new emerging technologies that we have to introduce in the hospitals, yeah, like robotic technology, where the cleaning service, or even the transfer of clinical waste, linen, or even drugs, yeah, food, to use robotic technology, which also reduce our requirement for foreign workers and also reduce infection. Yeah. So in the appropriate areas, for example, like maybe in area where we have local workers, then we can continue with the local workers, but with new way of doing things. Yeah. But where we require more foreign workers, maybe we can also introduce robotics, yeah, to reduce our dependencies on foreign workers, yeah, and the competencies issues. Yeah. Also, introduction of drone technologies, yeah, to address diseases like dengue, yeah, dengue, and also transportation, alternative transportation in the healthcare industry, yeah, and also more research and development initiatives to work together with MOSTI, yeah, for us to look at how we can innovate, yeah, and improve designs and technology requirements in the healthcare facilities. Yeah. And we also need to address, I think COVID-19 is also a climate change issue. Yeah. So we must also seriously address to make our facilities become green. So the Ministry of Health is also seriously converting our hospitals to become green hospitals, to be sustainable, yeah, to face the future requirement. Yeah. So better energy management, indoor air quality, and also to promote the 3R approach, the reduce, reuse initiative, yeah, and recycle, yeah, cost saving on energy, the use of renewable energy, together with the industrial players, maybe Tenaga Nasional, to install the solar PV, yeah, to use solar energy, or to heat up the water supply, the hot water supply in the hospitals, and reduce the use of diesels, yeah, which pollute our environment. So all these initiatives, I believe we have to promote and also practice in the healthcare facility. New challenge on design as well, like the operation theaters. So people are talking about infectious control operation theater. So we have to look into the new design requirements. Yeah. And then there are also negative ambulance, negative ambulance being used in the industry. Yeah. So the Ministry of Health is also being involved recently with the international body to develop the design requirement for emergency facilities, because the emergency facilities will cover all the temporary ICUs, the wards, and also the healthcare facility and quarantine centers to work together with the hotel industry and so on in time of needs. Yeah? So I think finally I would like to highlight some of the issues that we face, in the healthcare sector. So one of the main issue is aging assets. Yeah. So both the buildings and also the equipments. So there must be new budgeting and new business models that we need to look into, yeah, because of the limitation of budgets. Yeah. And then competency issues, yeah, and workmanships of foreign workers, and communication. Yeah. So there are issues here because issues on defects of works and so on, yeah, on the projects. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, the challenge that we may face in the future related to climate change issue like COVID-19. So thank you very much for listening. So I'm back to Dato Sri. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Engineer Tauran. Please stay on board for question and answers. Let's now move to our third speaker, Tuan Haji Muhammad Shahrizal bin Mohammad Idris. Allow me to quickly read his CV. Muhammad Shahrizal Muhammad Idris is currently the Managing Director and the founding members of JFM Services Berhad, also known as JFM, established in 2016. In the local FM industry, he has been regularly invited as subject matter expert in various government policy making panelists, market research activities, and industry-centric convention events. Among his notable contributions were as a committee members in the development of a government asset management manual and policy in 2009, subject matter expert in FM market research conducted by CIDB in 2010, secretariat member of National Asset and Facility Management Convention for 3 years, 2007, for 3 consecutive events, 2007, 2009, and 2018, and a member of the ISO Technical Committee 267, Facility Management Standard Development Committee for the period of 2013 to 2016. Through his active participation in FM Industry Development Initiative, he has been selected or elected as a Deputy President of MAFM for session 2019 to 2021. Currently, he is served as member of Industry Advisory Committee for Polytechnic Sultan Salahuddin Abdul Aziz Shah and University Tun Hussein Al Malaysia since 2018. Due to his position in the development of the FM industries, the facility of Environment University Malaya has appointed him as an external assessor for master's program of the facility and maintenance, position he held since 2014. Mohamad Shahrizal holds a master degree in science and facility management and bachelor of engineering in mechanical engineering from University Technology Malaysia. Without further ado, let her hear what Shah is going to discuss with us. Shah?
Yeah, thank you Yang Berbahagia Datuk Sri Zohari Akob, our moderator today. Yang berbahagia Datuk Engineer Haji Muhammad Zulkefly Sulaiman, Director General of Public Works Department Malaysia, members of the panelists, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Public Works Department for the launching of the 4 government strategy documents in relation to the asset and facility management of the public assets. I think this has been a long-awaited document. It has been launched in 2009, but again, it has been updated in 2018. I think, again, I would like to congratulate on this. We in the public sector, especially the service providers, are keen to support whatever initiative or the policy of the government in respect to managing our public assets. Yeah. It is good to hear that from the presentation by Yang Berbahagia Datuk Engineer Zulkefly just now, that government has embarked on the approach of adopting the total asset life cycle management, which what it means is that we will be managing our assets, especially the public assets, using a whole life cycle cost approach, right from planning, development, construction, handing over, operation, maintenance, repair, replace, upgrading, refurbishment, and probably even until the demolition of the assets. Right? So I think this is great to hear for the country that, you know, when we develop our asset, we have already put enough thoughts in the how much it's going to cost us to manage. We might be developing an asset worth 300 million, but to maintain it, it might, for the next 15 years or 50 years, it will take us maybe 1.5 billion. So the cost is more on the operating the asset rather than developing the asset. So how do we manage this asset so that it will last longer and it will cost us lower in terms of the maintenance? I think quite a number of things that has been touched by the other panel member, but I would like to take this opportunity to provide some other inputs and feedbacks in relation to the what has been presented by Dato Engineer Zulkefly this morning. I would like to touch in 4 areas. One is let us discuss about the procurement process, asset and facility management procurement process. Secondly, I would like to touch about how do we get value for money from the investment from the government, looking at the budget announced by the finance minister. It's quite a huge amount of operating expenditure that has been allocated for 2022. The third matter I would like to touch about is, I think, which has been also deliberated by my colleague Engineer Haji Tauran tadi just now. That is about aging building. Yeah? So there's some certain things that we can discuss here. How do we address this matter? And last but not least, I think in the closing remark by the speaker this morning, he did mention about the function of CREATE, which is an institution on asset and facility management. So how do we get the private sector to be involved in this? Now, let's move on to the first topic, or rather my first review on the what has been spoken. Procurement strategy. I think pandemic COVID-19 has actually taught us a lesson. It has actually pushed all boundaries to the edge, and we have no way but to live within the norm. And in doing so, whatever that we have been doing today is no longer, or previously, is no longer relevant. In a sense that a lot of things has got to change, and we have to make room for improvement. Success in the implementation of these policies, as mentioned by Dato KP just now, can be only assured with various factors to be adjusted, or rather to be improved. One of the things that I would like to highlight here is that an effective procurement process for engaging and outsourcing service provider. So I believe the current norm, which is traditional competitive bidding with ordinary performance-based contracting approach, be it whether it is a performance-based contract or it is a task-based contract, but whatever the method that we have used before may no longer be sufficient to bring value in the built environment under the current situation and moving forward with the pandemic moving towards changing into endemic. So how do we improve this? Yeah. So one of a few things that can be brought forward, among other things, are the elements of innovative, creative, collaborative, integrated, a data-driven approach of engaging an outsourced party, partnering, engaging an outsourced party through a partnership approach rather than client contractor or client service providers relationship. So it has to be upgraded to a partnering outsourcing approach. And then I think we have been talking about this. The next matter to look into is probably the maximizing the use of technology and also advanced system in delivering AFM services to the public buildings or public assets. Yeah. And in nature, in any part of the world, government is the largest asset owner. So if we do not take this opportunity to make these changes because we have been pushed to a different boundary, then we will lose the competitive advantage very soon. Now, moving to the next topic, we talk about the value for money. In the recent budget 2022, as announced by the Minister of Finance, the total expenditure of the government is totaling about 332.1 billion estimated. Yeah? And out of this, 70% is allocated to operating expenditure, 75.6 billion, which is 22.8% is allocated for development expenditure, and the remaining 23 billion is for COVID-19 fund. The COVID-19 fund was never there before. So this is something new. It is a pressing issue. We have to put allocation, and how do we manage our assets moving forward in addressing the need to comply with SOPs and regulation, perhaps maybe new regulation or new guidelines will have an impact and bearing to our nation budget. So if you look at the OE alone, the operating expenditure, which is 233 billion, which I managed to dissect a little bit, there is a huge amount of allocation put forth for the improvement of our current public assets. 2.9 billion on schools, office, buildings, bridge, roads and pavement, inter-village roads and federal roads, street lights, local authorities, rural water, electricity, camps, army camps, and upgrade of sports arenas, and also our frontliners infrastructure assets. So these are amount of money that we're going to spend in 2022. But more importantly is that how do we get value out of this amount that we spent? My concern as a private sector is that, you know, for every money that we spend, we must look into the in the private sector has always been a profit, but in the government sector, I believe what would probably be the benefit that it brings to the public. And you know, if we spend $1 today, our hoping is that we get $1 worth of service that been rendered to the public. So my personal view is that we have to be very tactful in managing those assets. Once the work of repair, replace, or refurbish or upgrading has been implemented or completed. Yeah, so focus would be in getting value for money. Now, the question here, if you talk about value for money, how do we do this? Yeah, so probably the answer is getting the right people with the right knowledge, with the right experience, at the right place at the right time. So this is a challenge to the public sector, the government, to actually screen through those probably the best in class, or probably the better ones in coming with the program of partnership, rather than only delivering or rather engaging an outsourced party in the form of client contractors relationship. So that covers the value for money. Next, we discuss a little bit on the aging building, which was brought by Haji Tauran just now. For the last, ever since we independence, and even for the last 30 years, we have spent a huge amount of fund allocated for development. The last 30 years alone, we have spent about near to 340 billion developing the country, and these assets are still in use. And now we will be facing aging issues. One of the common thing that normally we tend to ignore is that how much do we need to put aside on maintenance costs of these assets. Maintenance does not start when it deteriorates. It should start right from when it is in use. So I believe this is one of the things in the total asset management concept. It has been clearly defined at what point that we need to put our effort to do maintenance. Aging building requires not only ordinary corrective or preventive maintenance, but most importantly, it requires total replacement, and this is very costly. It can no longer perform to its fullest efficiency capacity, or even in some cases cannot be used at all. So it's good to have a good maintenance strategy to address more on the plan rather than the unplanned. It is something that the private sector, I think we are looking forward to be given the opportunity to explore more into how do we address these aging building issues in the public sector. So there are a lot of other options. Government may not necessarily be the one that is bearing the cost. It can be done through a partnership program where the private sector will be bearing the initial cost of putting in the capital asset replacement cost or program, and in return allowing the private sector to recoup the investment over a longer period of time, together with the maintenance contract as one. So this is a public-private partnership initiative that I believe we can assess, or rather the government can think of to reduce the burden at the initial stage of getting the current asset back to its fullest efficiency and effectiveness in delivering the public service. There must also be a clear mechanism on how do we allocate budget to address this asset replacement program. Currently, I believe in the Public Works Department, from my observation, in the recent tender that has been called by the Public Works Department, there has been an element of repair and replace line item in the BQ. But the challenge is that how do we put in the numbers? So at the moment, we do have a method. I mean, we do not have a single method, but we do have methods of how do we come up with the cost to address the repair and replace. But the best approach is that to have an estimate being done by the department, the agencies themselves, in order to know that to gauge to what extent of quality that they want to achieve with the amount of money that is being allocated for that particular scope of work. And through the policy and guidelines, I think addressing aging building, I see that what Public Works Department has done on the coming up with the documents or the guidelines to exercise building condition assessment, facility condition assessment. I think that's the best method to capture the condition. But the challenge is that how do we put a figure on addressing the replacement cost? So there is, again, as I said, mechanism on how do we put a cost to it has got to be properly established. I think the private sector would definitely be more than happy to assist the government to look into the matter of how do we establish a methodology to address this issue. And last but not least, I'm also being the Deputy President of the Malaysian Association of Facility Management together with Dato Zohari. It is our dream actually to have a public-private partnership platform where we can actually work together to exchange ideas and also share of knowledge for us to bring forth an idea to have an institution where we can have a formal interaction between both parties, seeing problems from both angles, because we in the private sector also facing certain difficulties as well as challenges in trying to deliver the best service that is required by the government sector. So I believe that covers all 4 key areas that we want to, or rather, providing input and feedback to the Public Works Department in relation to the government policies in managing public assets. With that, I thank you for inviting me to provide this input. Back to you, Dato' Sri Zohari. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Shah. Due to limited time that we have, the remaining time, I think I take one question, whether, even though there's a lot of questions here, I address the question to Datuk Zul, and probably the 3 panelists, you just think about what you're going to say in next 30 seconds. I give every one of you to wrap up the most important or the most pertinent thought in your mind now for us to end this session. Dato' Zul, the questions is from the audiences, from the participant. How can this amended asset management policy policy assist the government in ensuring that the construction and operational work are not disrupted during the adverse situation, such as pandemic or probably later on the endemic? Dato' Zul?
Dato' Sri Moderator, you don't mind to repeat the question?
How can this amended asset management policy can assist the government in ensuring that the construction and operational work are not disrupted during the adverse situation?
Okay. So when COVID-19 first struck the world back in early year of 2020, actually no one had an idea what kind or type of medication that can help heal this disease. Things are getting worse as the disease has spread uncontrollably, affected from one local place to neighboring states, nation, and worldwide. It even worse when it starts to grow from one single variant to many. So only through the application of risk management, the spreadness of COVID-19 is slowly managed and controlled with the introduction of movement control order, standard operating procedures, and enforcement. Well, as we all know, the application of risk management is based on 4 elements: processes, or some may call it as risk management cycle, which are first to identify the threats and opportunities faced by the organization across all of its function. And number 2, we have to prioritize the risk according to livelihood, speed on onset, and magnitude of impact. And number 2, to respond to these priorities by researching emergency risks, avoiding unacceptable risks, reducing the potential impacts of negative risks, piloting opportunities, and shifting some risks to others where appropriate. And lastly, number 4 is to assess and improve by evaluating how your response has played out and how each risk can be better managed in the future. Where in asset management, we apply the same processes and make use of it in our amended asset management policy. The only thing we look further is to configure and establish the processes towards government existing procedures and circular that are in force. To risk management, all government assets can be planned in terms of building and facility ownership data that meet the requirements for operation during natural disaster or pandemic. And asset owners identify risk mitigation to ensure building assets operate at a minimum during any disaster, and how the construction work can be carried out during the worst case scenario. I think that's my
Okay, thank you, Dato. The central theme is risk management.
Yeah.
Okay, 30 seconds, Shah. We start with you.
Okay, thank you, Dato Sri. I believe I would like to again reiterate the importance of the public and private partnership relationship in managing our public assets, because there are a lot of opportunity or other method that has been practiced in the private sector that can be beneficial to the government. Because people like us in the private sector, we are not only addressing issues on public assets, but we are also managing private assets. And we have found, I'm sure we have found many approach and method to resolve common issues, which are not really being shared with the government. So if a partnership platform can be realized, that would be the best approach for us to manage our public assets more effectively moving forward. Thank you, Dato.
Okay, Engineer Tauran, 30 seconds.
Okay, terima kasih, Dato Sri. I think for the health sector, the most urgent attention is to address the aging asset issue. Okay? The old hospital, old clinics, and so on, and to find the business model or even partnership as suggested by Mr. Shahrizal. So new business model to that is sustainable for the future refurbishment and also development of healthcare sector. Yeah, and also the ventilation issue. So we have to together address the ventilation issue in all our sectors. Yeah. To reduce the infections of COVID-19 or other disease in the future. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Dato Wan, are you still there? In conclusion, I think one thing strongly surfaced or agreed by many speakers is the need to have the FM procurement strategy. I think we heard from Shah just now, doing the same thing that we used to do is no longer relevant or no longer appropriate, probably. So I think the other important point is because there's a government is spending huge amount of money for AFM, not just government but also private sector. The way forward, there is this bidding condition assessment. I think a few speakers talk about the need to address the aging facility, especially for the views from the private sector, I mean from the health sector, and also the needs of the new design. Probably JKR have to work together with various ministries and agencies using for fourth industrial revolution or Internet of Things to look at what are the things that we should focus on in the next few years, or to sustain the industries. With that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your lending your ears and eyes to us for the last 1 hour. It's a pleasure for me to be your moderator today. And back to you, Dr. Dina.
Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that you have benefited from session 1. And thank you. On behalf of the organizing committee, we would like to express our gratitude to Yang Berbahagia Datuk Sri Zohari bin Haji.
Today is a very glorious day for us. We got our award from CIDB on the 5-star score rating being delivered by Yang Mohamad, Minister of Works, YBhg. And this is a very auspicious day for GFM, and I hope with this award, it motivates all GFMers to work harder in the future. And we also would like to take this opportunity to thank everybody who are involved directly or indirectly in putting up the effort for us to be recognized as a 5-star score rating company in the facility management space. Thank you very much and congratulations to everyone.
My name is Shahrizal Osman. I am one of the client engagement manager for GFM Solutions. And as you can see today, we are participating in ICW event from 19th to 21st of March. And we basically one of the only FM company participating in this event. And we basically promoting consultancy and advisory from the angle of pre-construction stage until completion stage. And we also bring in some of our own selling point or our own key product, which is such as CMMS, which is we call it GEMS. As a GFM, I would say that I'm actually proud.
Facility management, is it exclusively for building? Is it any available for any type of facilities such as maybe parks, stadiums, public transports?
Kemudahan means everything. So the application of facility management practice, you can practice it, you can apply it to any built environment.
From perspectives others don't. More productivity, flexibility, and employee well-being. Opportunity to invest in the future. Potential in every business, in every space, in every person. Insights that transform. Because the more perspectives we have, the more dimensions we see.